Chapter 11. The Graveyard Sermon. It was probably to this time that the famous Graveyard Sermon belonged, a sermon that became extensively known even outside Wales. It is interesting that when in 1909 a 7-volume work entitled The World's Great Sermons appeared, this sermon of Christmas Evans was included, apparently the one by a Welsh preacher and one of the few by a Baptist. It appears to have been first preached in a small dell among the Carnarvonshire mountains. It was summer, the grass still green, brooks rippling round, the spot hemmed in by jagged crags and the cliffs of tall mountains. There was a preliminary service, verses of a hymn in the beautiful minor key, so typical of Welsh tunes, sung by thousands of tongues, reading, prayer, singing again, then a short sermon. Then Christmas Evans appears. He is described at this period of his life as almost 6 feet high, of robust athletic frame, his black hair thick, coarse, not very well arranged, dark, arched and heavy eyebrows, a ponderous awkward bearing still, with that one eye which the famous Robert Hall said was so brilliant that it could have lighted an army through a forest on a dark night. He stands there, very calm and quiet, but his face very expressive. He gives out a verse or two of a well-known Welsh hymn, and while it is being sung, takes out a small phial from his waistcoat pocket. It is laudanum, and wetting the tips of his fingers, he draws them over his blind eye to deaden the excruciating pain which sometimes on such occasions possessed him. Occasionally snuff, which he carried in his waistcoat pocket, helped him. Then he announces the text, Romans chapter 5, verse 15. If through the offence of one many be dead, much more the grace of God and the gift by grace, which is by one man, Jesus Christ, hath abounded unto many. First of all, he speaks on the universal, total depravity and sinfulness of men. Tekel is written on every heart. Solemnly he opens up man's lost and ruined condition, and as he does, the people draw nearer. Some rise from their seats, some begin to weep. An old godly clergyman, despised and hated for the truth's sake, rejoices to hear the old, loved truths set forth, and weeps profusely. Then he begins to speak of the whole world as a graveyard. Methinks, exclaimed the impassioned preacher, I find myself standing upon the summit of one of the highest of the everlasting hills, permitted from thence to take a survey of the whole earth. And all before me I see a wide and far spread burial ground, a graveyard, over which lie scattered the countless multitudes of the wretched and perishing children of Adam. The ground is full of hollows, the yawning caverns of death, and over the whole scene broods a thick cloud of darkness. No light from above shines upon it. There is no ray of sun or moon. There is no beam, even of a little candle, seen through all its borders. It is all walled around, but it has gates large and massive, 10,000 times stronger than all the gates of brass forged among men. They are one and all safely locked. The hand of divine law has locked them, and so firmly secured are the strong bolts that all the created powers, even of their heavenly world, were they to labor to all eternity, could not drive so much as one of them back. How hopeless is the wretchedness to which the race is doomed! Into what irrevocable depths of ruin has sin plunged the people who sit there in darkness and in the shadow of death, while there by the brazen gates stands the inflexible guard, brandishing the flaming sword of undeviating law. But see, in the cool of the day, there is one descending from the eternal hills in the distance. It is mercy, the radiant form of mercy, seated in the chariot of divine promise. She comes through the worlds of the universe. She pauses here to mark the imprisoned and grave-like aspect of our once fair world. Her eye affected her heart, and she beheld the misery and heard the cry of despair borne upon the four winds of heaven. She could not pass by, nor pass on. She wept over the melancholy scene, and she said, "Oh, that I might enter! I would bind up their wounds. I would relieve their sorrows. I would save their souls." An embassy of angels, commissioned from heaven to some other world, paused at the sight, and heaven forgave that pause. They saw Mercy standing by the gate, and they cried, "Mercy, canst thou not enter? Canst thou look upon that world and not pity? Canst thou pity and not relieve?" And Mercy, in tears, replied, "I can see, and I can pity, but I cannot relieve." "Why dost thou not enter?" inquired the heavenly host. "Oh," said Mercy, "law has barred the gate against me, and I must not, and I cannot unbar it." And lo, stood there watching the gate, and the angels asked of him, "Why wilt thou not suffer Mercy to enter?" And he said, "No one can enter here and live." And the thunder of his voice outspoke the wailings within. Then again I heard Mercy cry, "Is there no entrance for me into this field of death? May I not visit these caverns of the grave and seek, if it may be, to raise some at least of these children of destruction, and bring them to the light of day? Open, justice, open! Drive back these iron bolts, and let me in, that I may proclaim the jubilee of redemption to the children of the dust." And then I heard Justice reply, "Mercy, surely thou lovest justice too well to burst these gates by force of arm, and thus to obtain entrance by lawless violence. I cannot open the door. I am not angry with these unhappy ones. I have no delight in their death, or in hearing their cries as they lie upon the burning hearth of the great fire, kindled by the wrath of God, in the land that is lower than the grave. But without shedding of blood there is no remission."